Thank you, everyone, for coming here today. I want to thank those that I work with. We have numerous elected officials from Pinell County that I'm here with, a couple of our state representatives, mayors, candidates for office, and certainly some of the top leaders, men and women that I work with in the Sheriff's Office here in Pinell County. And also a fellow commander in the Army National Guard that I serve with, and has also been deployed. In fact, we work with, we're Chandler police officers together. There's going to be some comments by a few people after I give my remarks. I think Tim already went over that, and then I can answer some questions after that. Well, I was here, and I want to answer the questions of the day that have been, everybody's been wondering, and I wanted to tell you that our budget is in fact in balance here in the Sheriff's Office, and that in reality, that the main issue that I'm here today is to talk about some of the very serious allegations that have been purported in local media. And I'm here to say that all these allegations that were in one of these newspapers are absolutely, completely false, except for the issues that refer to me as being gay, because that's the truth. I am gay. And I wanted to talk about what it means here, and as a sheriff, in defining myself as an American, as a sheriff, somebody who has served in law enforcement, who has responded to thousands of calls, emergency calls for service, even saving individuals' lives. When people have a crisis and showing up, that question's never asked. And serving as the sheriff of Pinell County, that I believe it's without question that the measure of performance and results that we collectively have been able to achieve here in Pinell County have gone up dramatically. And the people of our county know it, and they appreciate that. And we have a great team of leaders that are very talented, but in the end, I'm the chief executive. I'm the sheriff. And that's how I measure as the sheriff, in my performance, in my results. In the military, I've served 20 years in the military, first as an enlisted soldier and also as an Army officer. And I had the great honor to serve our country deployed in Iraq, and also commanded 700, at times, 700 active duty soldiers in Yuma, in fact, with Major Chris Emmons, who is here as well today. And again, measurements of performance and results, we had the highest measures of reduction of smuggling at the Yuma border. And that's something that's very important to note. All of those things bring us back to how not only I define myself, but how we in America define ourselves as individuals. And I can tell you that those of us who have put our lives, as I've had the honor to do, in harm's way in the protection of our liberties and our freedoms, and our personal liberties and our personal freedoms, it means something different. When you see countries around the world who do divide people along the race, color, national origin, even among their faith, or among their orientation or their gender. And that's not who we are. And I have never defined myself by my ethnicity. I've never defined myself in terms of my orientation. I define myself, as I believe all of us do in America and should, as the value that we add and what we contribute in this world. And I would submit for consideration, further consideration for all Arizonans and people who look at this issue, that's the true measure of who we are. And a lot of people have reached out to me already, friends and voters, supporters, and said, Sheriff, this changes nothing. That who you are, I know you personally, I know your performance, and I value and appreciate who you are, and that means the world to me, I can tell you. That we have here this specific issue, and at no time in regards to this whole idea of deportation, at no time did I or anyone who represents me ever threaten deportation. Ever. And this issue was the vehicle in which this could be brought out publicly. The main issue and why we're really here today is that this issue has been floated around even when I was a candidate for sheriff, by up until this date, throughout my political activity, by my political opponents and those throughout my life. And this is 20 plus years that I've had numerous people that would threaten this to me, to expose me, go to my chain of command, even in the military, and report this, and have done so. And so it's almost as if there's a relief today to be able to not be threatened, because not only is that not fair, and to define people along those personal, those very private parts of who they are, that's how I've lived my life and defined myself. In regards to this matter, the individual that we're talking about, Jose, that there was a personal relationship, and separate and apart from that, he was a volunteer for my political campaign, and actually was in charge of our website for some time, and also in charge of our website, and also our social media of Twitter, and our financial transactional system on our website as well. And when that relationship ended, he then, at a later point, as other people were brought into the campaign, not in a volunteer status but in a paid status, he then took control of those items, the social media and the website, and started posting information on there that was not complimentary. One that's illegal on several levels, and also claimed and purported to be me, which is identity theft. And so this idea of deportation was never an issue. I don't have the authority to deport anybody. I have the authority to enforce laws and to make an arrest. There was no law enforcement action here at all. In fact, I did what most citizens in their private lives would do if they have a dispute or a relationship gone bad, and somebody is looking to be harmful to the other party, is to go to an attorney. And my attorney contacted Jose on the 6th of September of last year, and then on the 7th of September complied and turned over all the passwords, and they were promptly changed for those. That communication between my attorney and Jose was in writing and was documented. They never talked in person or by phone. And then subsequent to that, an attorney hired by him had conversation with my attorney, Krista Rhodes. So that is the main allegation that is being made, and it's blatantly, completely false. This whole rumor, this whole idea about who I am in my private life has been shopped around, and I believe an overwhelming majority of you standing here today in the media not only have known this, that information has been brought to your attention by numerous sources. And this was the way, that the hook of how this could be brought out, and to malign and attack a sheriff who does stand for conservative principle, who does enforce the law, and I work very hard to do my job and to do it exceptionally well. I'm going to leave that there for right now and ask Chief Deputy Henry wanted to make a comment.
Thank you, Sheriff. Good afternoon. Steve Henry, S-T-E-V-E, H-E-N-R-Y, Chief Deputy, Pinal County Sheriff's Office. Well, this afternoon we're here today talking about something that's actually, at least from my perspective, fairly unimportant. You know, we've got a lot of problems in Pinal County, the state of Arizona, and the country that we live in, and we've been reduced to talking about this. And that does not take away from the fact that the sheriff is a phenomenal leader. He always has been. He's taken this sheriff's office to a place that it never thought it could be, and it's only going to get better. And I'm proud to be associated with the sheriff's office. I'm proud that this man is my sheriff, and I consider him a very, very good friend. Thank you. That's all.
Crystal, did you want to say something?
Harry Grizzle, Harry Grizzle, Grizzle. I worked here close to 20 years. I met the sheriff when he became elected. I have to say from experience, I have I'm honored to work with and for this man. He's done a lot of excellent things for our agency. I feel this is a sideshow, to be honest with you. It has absolutely nothing to do with our agency. It will not and has not, to be honest with you. I know that's the bottom line is our agency is well, has never done better. And I actually believe this is quite courageous for this man to come out and do this and tell everyone today, this public specter. It's unfortunate he came out this way. But as he said, it's relief. We'll get through this, and I fully support him. Deputy Chief.
There's Supervisor Brian Martin from Pinell County.
Good afternoon, Brian Martin, Pinell County Supervisor, BRYN, MRQYN. First and foremost, Paul Babeu is a very, very dear friend of mine. I've known Paul since well before we were elected. And I will tell you, after serving 2 tours, myself in Iraq, 2 tours Afghanistan, Bosnia, and Africa, we fight for the reality that people are judged by the content of their character. We are not judged in America by the color of our skin, our race, or our sexual orientation. Paul Babeu is a fantastic leader. It has absolutely nothing to do with his sexual orientation. Americans, Arizonans, we need to get over this. Paul is a good guy. Paul is a leader. Paul makes changes that we need in Pinell County, Arizona, and America. Paul is the kind of guy that Pinell County needs, and God bless him, he stepped up and he's looking to take that to Washington. And I think everybody would agree, we need people of character in Washington. Paul Babeu is a man of character, and he will always be a dear friend, and his orientation has absolutely nothing to do with our friendship, and it never will. Thank you.
Brian, what's your last name?
Mark.
Mark.
Ruben Montano, RUBEN-MONTANO. I'm a captain. When I met Sheriff Babeu, he came to me as a sheriff and said, I need somebody to do the accreditation in the detention center. And the important thing I looked at was not because of my race, it's not because I'm a Democrat, what party I'm associated with, it's because of my abilities to do the job. Coming to Pinell County, bringing the first accreditation into the state of Arizona for a detention center, as well as the second one in the nation through the National Sheriff's Association, it's important to know that he hires people to do the job for what's there. You're concerned about a scandal? Well, Sheriff Babeu is not married. It's not with an individual who is married. This is his personal life, and it should be left with his personal life. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Sure, Jay.
Hi, I'm Jay Stewart. I live down south in what we call the no man's land. Paul and I have become friends due to where I live. It's quite unusual to get to know the sheriff of any county by, I guess, the events that go around your house. But in the time I've known Paul, he's always been there. I can reach him 24 hours a day. I'd like to second or third the point made about sexual orientation. In this case, it's absolutely irrelevant. Paul does a great job. He's a good person. He's a good friend. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Chris Evans is a fellow police officer from Chandler. We served together, met back in 2002-3.
My name is Chris Emmons, CHRISEMMONS. I'm a police officer as well as a commissioned officer in the military. I've had the opportunity to serve with Paul several different situations, and the thing that I've always been impressed about this gentleman is it's performance and results driven. Every position that I've ever worked with Paul in, he has always excelled and accomplished at exceptional levels above and beyond what was asked. He did that through his professionalism and his ability to focus on and live the warrior ethos. And the warrior ethos is something that every person who serves in the military knows. And it's based on service above self. And that's what this gentleman represents. That's what he represents for Pinell County, the state of Arizona, and one day, God willing, he will be there in Washington supporting us all. Because what we should be focused on right now, aside from his orientation, is the fact that we've got people out there unemployed who can't support their families, people who are out there struggling with our healthcare system because it's not taking care of them, the best country in the whole world. And this is the silly sideshow that we've come to represent as being so important to take time out of people's lives. Regardless of this gentleman's orientation, he's a fantastic leader. He represents you, he represents me, and every Arizonan would be lucky to have him represent us in Washington, D.C. Poor.
Hi, my name is Scott Blevins, SCOTTBLEVINS. I'm a Pinal County businessman. I've been in business for 10 years. When Sheriff Paul Babeu came into Pinal County and took control, his results of response times increased. He has let his employees elevate themselves and becoming better, creating a good environment in Pinal County. That also brings into account that flows over into what the residents of Pinal County say. I feel safer because Paul Babeu is my sheriff. He is a close friend of mine. I've been getting to know him for 4 years now. He has done every single thing he set out to do. He is the only politician that I have ever come across that has done that. He has made the residents of Arizona more aware of what's going on the border. He has turned heads. His sexual orientation has no business being put aside or set aside to a position where it doesn't allow him to affect the leadership. His leadership skills are beyond any person I've ever come across in my life. I'm proud of Sheriff Paul Babeu. I stand by Sheriff Paul Babeu. I know a lot of my business partners stand by Sheriff Paul Babeu in Pinal County. He's somebody that's going to be reckoned with, and I encourage his continuous challenges. He's a great person, and I support his future endeavors.
Thanks, Bill. Appreciate it. Cheryl Chase.
Cheryl Chase. I want you to know the man that I know. I met Paul when he came back from Iraq, and he was a major in the Army. He served his time in Iraq. He served our country. He secured our border in Yuma under his leadership. He was commander. Commander Chris Emmons was also with him then, and they did an exceptional job securing our border. And so that's what we need to be focused on. I came into office with him, and I worked with him side by side, and I know the love and the respect that people here and the people in the military have. I know a lot of friends, and the love and the respect under this fine commander, under this fine sheriff, that's the thing to focus on, and I stand by Paul.
Thank you.
Always. Cheryl, would you mind spelling your name? C-H-E-R-Y-L.
Chase like the bank.
And you are.
She's a former state representative from Pinal County.
Now I work with the sheriff.
She's actually running for Explorer. Anybody else? Representatives, mayor? Anybody? Good. Okay. Good. All right. Well, we're here to take some of your questions or answer some further concerns that you may have, and we'd be happy to do that.
If all the allegations
Yes.
back,
Yeah.
there are a bunch of racist photos of their out there right now on the internet. One of you and
Yeah.
other there. What would you like to say about those photos?
I'm not here to deny any of that. As I said in the very beginning, that these were photographs that are mine, that I sent to an individual that was meant only for their observation, not to be splashed on the internet or on TV or anything like that. And there still needs to be some bounds for privacy. And that's where, this isn't a case, somebody asked earlier today about Representative Weiner, and this has nothing to do with that. Not only was he married, he actually came forward and his first statement was that he lied about that. You know, and somebody hacked into his system. Well, guess what? Somebody did hack into my system, and we've got proof of that. But here, I'm not disowning or lying about anything. This is a moment of truth for me, and I want to set the record straight so we can get on to the business of what's most important to Arizona, because I can tell you this is probably the least of concern to real families and real people throughout our state, this issue.
But Sheriff,
Yeah.
the fact that
it causes people to potentially question your judgment when, as a military officer and as sheriff of Pinal County, you allow these type of photographs to be taken, knowing your public position, and potentially expose yourself to this type of press conference today.
This is in my personal life. And what I do in my private and personal life is my business. And that's where nothing has ever affected not only my command, my leadership, and my performance, and the results that are derived from that. And so I don't see that. And I believe most people, when you look at people and their judgment, and they sit in judgment of other people, it's like when it comes to real issues, when it comes to the importance of performance, and anything else that affects other people, that's a different matter and a different story. And you had a question,
Some people
yes.
are asking for your resignation this morning. What do you say to those people, and is that something you're considering?
Well, I've sworn an oath for a 4-year term as sheriff, and I am so honored to be able to complete that. And we're going to complete our 4-year term as sheriff with a bang. We've got a lot of fine leaders that we're going to carry on and ensure that these changes, these improvements, these reforms that are cemented in, and we build upon that with the next leader, whoever the next sheriff is. And in fact, this is a moment that we're not hiding or ashamed of anything, that I'm standing up saying that yes, I'm going to actively campaign for Congress in the 4th Congressional District, and I intend to continue to earn the trust of the people by talking about the real issues, talking about the fact that we have $16 trillion debt, the fact that 42 cents of every dollar that is spent today is borrowed. This is insanity. We can't continue doing this. Not just 8 or 9 or 10% unemployment. There's communities right here in Pinal County. The mayor of Coolidge is here, and his son TJ. Coolidge has 21% unemployment. These are the important matters of the families, of the individuals here in Arizona, and that's what we should be talking about. So that's why in this effort to come out and to say all these things, I don't want things to trickle out. I don't want things to be threatened and for people to be saying these things, or rumor mills and all the whispers. And this is where I've always kept that boundary to say this is my personal, my private life, but now it's not so private any longer. And it's an awful position for me to be in. I'm here at this moment, and I'm here accepting responsibility.
You put yourself in that position, sir, by posting explicit photos of yourself on a public website, a dating website for men.
Well, that's where here, as I mentioned, that what I do in my personal, my private life is my personal and private business with those individuals. Nothing has ever, it's not that I'm, as Ruben mentioned, I'm not married, I'm a single guy, I don't have a fake girlfriend. These are things that I choose to do. And this is where this should have no business coming out here to be a front page story, to be the headline news for 10 minutes talking about all these things at the beginning of the hour, when we have this amount of crisis here facing our state and facing our nation.
You're a public figure.
Yeah.
You're a public figure.
Absolutely, and that's where I'm here, not only with other public figures, but leaders that I'm privileged to serve with, talking about the public's business, talking about the things that really matter to Americans, that the same liberties and freedoms that I believe in, that have actually, and many of us have put our lives in service to protect those liberties and those freedoms. We're different than every other country because of that. It is not the division of our country, it's the very strength in our diversity. And that's what makes America great.
But the story isn't about your sexual orientation, respectfully, Sheriff. The story is about allegations of potential abuse of your position and your authority, potential abuse of county resources if, in fact, as was alleged, you were communicating on personal issues with a county-issued cell phone or email. Is there a way that you can make this more than a he said, she said, and prove that this was not an abuse of power?
That is not, that is not the facts. That is not the truth. And that's where some of this information and what's happening is it's reported, and then all of a sudden somebody, you're stating it like it's fact. It was worded very, very differently in the initial news report that it could be, or that he possibly used because it had an official voice. Well, that's my personal cell phone. Okay? I never use any county or government resources whatsoever.
Was his immigration the status ever in question as far as whether he was legal while he was working on your campaign or you were having a relationship?
Never. I never believed he was less legal than I or you were. Yes, ma'am.
How hard was it to come out today to say that you are gay, and why haven't you said it? Crystal Cruz. There's been lots of rumors.
It's very difficult and liberating at the same time. And this is where I'm not going to live in fear. I'm not going to live with the threats. And to the point now that to be able to come out and to stand with so many people that I respect and care deeply about and love is to stand and fight. That's who I am. So is this a very difficult moment for me? There's no question about it, it is. And this is where I ask people to look at and measure me in the same way all of us as Americans are measured, by our value, by our contributions to our community, to our society. That's what America is all about. But it was, yes, it was absolutely a very difficult moment to have that happen.
Why not come out before this? Months
Because
ago?
it's my private life, and it's my personal life. I've never worn it on my sleeve. And this is where those who know me, and you hear numerous accounts of how I live my life and how I carry myself, not only professionally, and this is where people, I've had countless women that have tried to date to marry me. And I can tell you, I'm off the market, but I always be courteous and kind, not only to these ladies, it's part of my personality and who I am. I respect other people, you know, but this is my personal business. People would ask me, and not only it's none of their business, this is my private life, and now it's out for the whole world to see. And that is very difficult, and I wish that didn't happen. And I can tell you that for those who may seek elected office that are out there, there's not one person without some transgression or something that could be very embarrassing. And the measure of who I am is how I'm handling this today, and in honesty. Just some other questions with, did you have a question?
I got one, Sheriff. Sheriff, how does this affect you in the Republican Party?
Due times if all the allegations are false.
Well, what I'm here to say is I'm taking full responsibility and accountability for all of those matters that are of a personal nature. I tried to outline, you know, the main charge, the allegation, which was the trigger to bring this issue out. And this is where that is blatantly false. It's not true. And I think just even on its basis, that where you see that who has the authority to do this and the threats, why on earth would I ever pursue a legal remedy at that time and not take lawful action with some other law enforcement agency? If I'd known that, my effort was to, look, this is none of anybody else's business. And I find it highly ironic that somebody in that position would actually be the one to bring that forward. But this is something that has happened in the past too.
Do you think voters think it shows good judgment to post explicit photos of yourself in any fashion?
I think that voters
who's been targeted by cartels, who could be blackmailed by cartels?
Well, this is the thing, that I'm here saying what happened here is no longer personal. This is public, and they're accusing me of doing something unethical, and that did not happen. When it comes to my public duty and my oath, I take my oath extremely seriously. I will push other people aside, even at my own personal demise, in order to get to the truth, to help people, and to do the right thing, always. And that's a part of who police officers always aspire to be, even with our human failings and shortcomings. Yes, you had a question.
Did the Romney campaign ask you to step down?
I actually called the Romney campaign and said, hey, look, I am actually going to step away from the campaign, and they said, we support your decision, Sheriff.
You're not pressured to step down?
Not at all. It's like all of our candidates for president, I think, speak to the essence of who we are as Americans, about liberties and freedoms. They may have different points of view on all these issues. None of us agree on everything. And this is where, in the end, the big tent that Ronald Reagan talked about, the party of Lincoln that talks about freedom and liberties and always pushing towards the essence of the beauty of our Constitution, that we're all created equal, endowed by our Creator with inalienable rights. These are God-given rights. And that when we, both culturally and in our government, put those barriers in our way, I believe people are more understanding and look at who we are as individuals and not what goes on in people's personal lives.
Is there any criminal investigation going on against Jose for ID theft or computer tampering or anything of the like?
No, as I said, that what I was choosing to do was to seek a legal remedy. There was a communication it's all documented. In fact, this has all been released to you and other members of the media, so it's all proof right there. There is no threat. And then there was a subsequent conversation with my attorney and his attorney, and that's where it is. And it's nothing more than that.
Why did you make the allegations that you're denying? Any idea why you made these allegations?
Well, I'm stating a lot of what we call in law enforcement clues that could give you and bring you and arrive at the conclusion that clearly there is no other reason why that would be done, why that statement would be made. As I pointed out earlier, I had no other information or reason to believe he's no less legal than I am or you are.
You know now his has been
everything that I understand is that he's absolutely in legal status here, absolutely.
Have you damaged the public trust, and how do you go from here?
Well, this is where today, and talking about this issue with full transparency, about still with boundaries, you know, with specifics about me and my personal life that have always been off bounds. And there have been other elected leaders, both in this state, that we all know, and in other states across our country, that it's not, I don't even see it as, oh, well, this person was given a pass or that person was given a pass. It is what it is. And I'm here today. And so what I'm trying to do is as forthright as possible, talking about deeply personal, private matters. I'm trying to be upfront in the disclosure of that and that information, something that I feel no American should have to do.
Why would any adult man think about posting or even sending, email, texting an explicit photo of himself anywhere, especially a public official like yourself?
Well, that's, for me, this is my personal, my private life. And now what I do in my personal and private life is my business. Just as what you do in your personal private life, I have no business in that. The federal government has no business in that. And this is where we're talking about personal liberties and freedoms. And that oftentimes, that when even those in the media and those in our society in high positions always claim to be all-encompassing and progressive and talking about the differences and celebrating those, and it's a little bit different here, that a different standard that as a conservative Republican and as a sheriff, it's a little bit different. I get that, I understand it, and that's why I wanted to share things that, honestly, before yesterday, I felt I never had to or would have shared.
Sheriff, when did you and Jose in personal relationship?
Sometime before September 6th of last year. This was some time ago.
How long did you go out?
Again, these are some of the details of my own personal life that I find that need to have some boundaries and some private matters to be kept that way. So thank you.
Sheriff, about your congressional
Yes.
question, I don't see campaign involved in Chris to whether, I'm sorry, I missed it. All right. But talk about any changes in your campaign, staff or message or anything that you might make, and also if donors feel uncomfortable or whatever the reason with this situation, would you refund their donation in advance?
Here's what we're going to find, that not only I have full faith and confidence, just as in my leadership team from the Sheriff's Office, other elected officials who are here, including my campaign team, nothing was wrong. In fact, they were defending me in my rights as a private citizen. And there were legitimate crimes that were committed, and this is how I chose to deal with those. And so when it comes to support, I've had countless, not only texts, I can't even answer all the phone messages and the calls that I've been receiving since yesterday to this moment, encouraging me to say, Sheriff, stand up and fight. We know who you are. Some people may have known or deducted this personal private information, and they said, it doesn't matter. What's the big deal? And this is where you're measured by who you are. For those people who that it does matter, we'll absolutely talk with them. I don't have an issue with that, because if there's money that is given back to donors, there's going to be other people who support us because of our honesty, because of the fact that we're standing and fighting. We're not cutting and running. That's not who I am.
Is this the end of the story, Sheriff?
Does the department have any social media policy that would have prevented you from posting those pictures or sending those
This is personal and private. There's cases where something that affects your duty status or something in that regard, and then there's policies regarding that. But this is purely personal, purely private, that is launched publicly, politically, in a manner for what purpose? I think it's clear to most people that there was an effort to harm me, not just personally, but the resulting impact and effect is politically. And so I'm embracing that what some people would see as a hill or even a mountain, and saying that I'm going forward. And let the voters decide. And then to talk about the issues that are of great importance here.
Are you going to keep posting photos like that, or do you think you'll stop now? I mean,
well, this is, and again, that's my personal, my private life. I have not done that for some time, and so that's again, anybody who in their personal life wants to conduct personal business and affairs themselves, that's their business. And for me, again, there's boundaries to the information.
But Sheriff,
that's your question.
What's your stance on gay marriage and gays in the military?
Sure. Well, having actually served in the military for 20 years and being a commander, and this is where Chris Simmons, this is already the law now. This is already new regulation.
So your stance is you're for gays in the military?
I believe that any American who wants to serve their country and put on the uniform of our country to protect our liberties and freedoms, they should be allowed to do so.
And what about gay marriage?
And if personal liberties and freedoms, talk about the religious freedoms. Talk about the freedom of religion and the expression of that. This is a deeply religious ceremony and event. And some faiths condone and support it. Some do not and are adamantly against it. And this is an issue not for the federal government. I see this as, and a lot of people connect this to Ron Paul, as a states' rights issue. That this should not be an issue for the federal government. Anything that's not enumerated in the Constitution would fall to the states.
So if Arizona wants to not have gay marriage, you're okay with that?
And this is where, what do you define as relationship and love?
Well,
absolutely.
Marriage is a legal contract.
This is for me. Illegal contracts absolutely should be allowed for anybody. Anyone who wants to be able to see a loved one in the hospital, to be able to enjoy inheritance. Any of those rights, I believe, are basic human rights and privileges that each and every one of us enjoy under the Constitution. The definition of marriage, there are some churches right here in Phoenix, Metro Phoenix, that define it very differently. And that's an issue for the government not to, in my view, to involve themselves in.
Sir, we're asking about your personal.
And I just
decision.
explained my
you
personal.
Didn't answer that question. What is your personal feeling about the ability of gays to be married?
And what I just shared, and hear me out, and I'll be happy to talk about that, is that if people want to be in one, if it's a civil union, and some people have ceremonies in certain faiths and religion to be married, and that's their religious belief and their ceremony, absolutely, that it's not the role of me as a sheriff, as a candidate for Congress, or this government to enter in the protections of freedom of religion.
But it's illegal in Arizona. It's legal in other states.
And that's where, if states prohibit that, that's the issues for the states. I can be a supporter and get out there and help articulate as we progress as a culture and as a society that there should be individual liberties and there should be individual freedoms. That for us, that any other person to define somebody else's relationship and to say that it's not okay, that is not who we are as Americans.
If the allegations are false, do you plan on taking any legal action?
Not at this time, no. Yeah.
Sheriff, do you expect any more men to come out with similar allegations?
Look, as I said, that I'm a single man, and I've never been married. I haven't seen women in a long time on a romantic basis, and that's not for me to predict. I'm not here to make a declaration of anything in terms of all. It's limited to that. And the reason why I say that is this is personal, private. I've had a number of friends from all walks of life, including chaplains and pastors, that have reached out to me and said, you know, wow, you know, the irony. I just want to let you know I'm praying and supporting you. So here, all I'm talking about today is specifically these main allegations that are completely false and baseless. and then the personal component as well.
If the
And we're going to
allegations
take
are
a couple last questions here.
Sir, those text messages cited in your story, are they fabricated?
All of the personal information that was related in the story, and that's where the allegation about criminal conduct and activity is completely baseless and false. Everything else, I'm not here to deny. I'm not here to say that this is false. I'm here to say that who I am as a person and all these things were done in the privacy of two individuals. That's a boundary. And that's a boundary, I think, for each and every person in America.
So yes or no, were those text messages fabricated?
As I just said, that all of the personal information for me, there, I'm not denying. What I am saying is personal stuff about the certain boundaries, as the other questions were asked, that I'm not going into detail, because it begs 1,000 more questions that, quite frankly, it's none of your business. One more question over here.
Wait,
Yeah,
Sheriff, if I were to date an undocumented person and then threaten them, that it would be my business.
Go ahead. No, not at all. No government resources were used.
Can you talk about why you chose the sheriff's department to hold this press conference?
Absolutely. Actually, there were criminal allegations that were done, and in fact, you referenced it earlier in your earlier question. So it's vitally important as a sheriff that my credibility is questioned, and my actions, that absolutely I'm going to speak to that, and everything that I've done in my public life and in my performance of duty, in my sworn oath, at in any level in my entire career, whether in the military or as a law enforcement officer, has been not only fully honorable, has complied with all the law and led by example. So I want to thank you for coming here today and appreciate your time and your effort to clarify not only the record, but to let everybody know that we're moving forward, that I'm anxious to speak about the issues that are most important to the families of Arizona. Thank you, and God bless you.